Hello, boys.
Welcome back to Recap IT. Today we are going to recap a 2021 action comedy movie starring the beautiful Gal Gadot titled Red Notice. In the world of international crime, an Interpol agent attempts to hunt down and capture the world's most wanted art thief. But before we begin, please consider subscribing to this channel. Now, without wasting any further time, let's begin, shall we? Antony, a Roman general, and Cleopatra, an Egyptian queen, committed suicide over 2,000 years ago because they didn't want to live in a world without each other. Antony showed his love for Cleopatra by giving her 3 bejeweled eggs on their wedding day. The eggs, however, were lost in time, and everyone assumed they were a fable. However, 2 of the eggs were discovered in 1907 by a Cairo-based farmer. The 3rd egg, on the other hand, was never discovered. One of Cleopatra's eggs will be on display in Rome's world-renowned Museo Nazionale di Castel Sant'Angelo in 2021. The 2nd egg, on the other hand, has been sold multiple times at auction and is now owned by an international armaments dealer. Special Agent John Hartley, an FBI criminal profiler, comes at the museum to aid Interpol agent Urvashi Das in the investigation of the theft of one of the museum's eggs. The bishop informed Agent Hartley that Nolan Booth, one of the world's most wanted art thieves, is preparing to take the egg. The egg is still there and hasn't been taken, according to the museum proprietors. However, John has the impression that the egg on display is a forgery. He pours a cold beverage over the egg, which begins to melt, indicating that the egg has already been stolen. Das closes the door and seals the chamber, trapping everyone within. However, Nolan, who is already inside, manages to flee, despite John's pursuit. He manages to apprehend Nolan, who then flees. John jumps into a high-end vehicle to pursue Nolan. However, an ice cream van collides with his automobile, putting an end to the chase before it really begins. Nolan eventually manages to get away and return to his home in Bali. But John, together with Das and her Interpol strike team, were already waiting for him. John has done extensive research into Nolan's past and knows everything there is to know about him. He also says that the bishop was the one who told them about Nolan's hiding place. Das apprehends Nolan and places him under arrest. Das is adamant about not transporting the egg and Nolan in the same van. As a result, she requests that John take the egg with him. Sarah Black, or the bishop, another world-famous art thief who is dressed as one of the strike team members, exchanges the real egg for a fake one, unbeknownst to anybody else. Das confronts Hartley the next day and demonstrates that the egg is a forgery. She suspects John is to blame for the egg's disappearance. As a result, she arrests him and deports him to a far-flung Russian prison. Nolan is also a prisoner there, and they share a cell, much to John's amazement. The bishop, according to John, is to blame. Nolan informs John that whomever delivers all 3 eggs to an Egyptian billionaire by the night of his daughter's wedding will receive $300 million. Sotto Voce, an international arms trader, owns the 2nd egg. Nolan is aware of the location of the 2nd egg. As retaliation, Nolan informs each convict that John is an FBI agent, in order to incite a fight amongst them. They are apprehended by the guards, who subsequently transport them to their boss. The bishop, who is in charge of the prison, explains that she was behind John's imprisonment because she deposited $8 million into an account in his name. Sarah suggests to Nolan that they team together to find the 3rd egg, the location of which is only known by Nolan. Nolan, on the other hand, declines her offer because he prefers working alone. So Sarah abandons them to their fate and goes in search of the 2nd egg. John offers that he and Nolan team up to defeat Sarah. He argues that if Nolan assists him in apprehending Sarah, Nolan will reclaim his position as the world's top art thief. Nolan devises a scheme to elude the prison after a restful night's sleep. They create a distraction, fight off numerous Russian guards, and eventually escape. They break inside the prison and steal a Russian chopper. Sarah hears about their elopement and notifies Das of their whereabouts. Nolan and John board a private jet and devise a scheme to take the 2nd egg. They arrive in Valencia for a masquerade gala hosted by Sotto Voce. When John sees Sarah there, he pursues her. Sarah is dancing with John when Sotto Voce notices her and approaches her. John abandons them and manages to take his phone with him. Das is also present, waiting for an opportunity to apprehend everyone. Sotto Voce's locker is entered by John and Nolan. Das, on the other hand, intercepts them and orders John to arrest Nolan. John, on the other hand, wants to capture the bigger fish. As a result, he diverts Das' attention and assists Nolan in entering the locker. Sarah, on the other hand, arrived before them and once again invites Nolan to join her. They, on the other hand, refuse to collaborate with her. As a result, Sarah confronts John and Nolan, and the two begin to fight. Sarah effortlessly defeats them both and binds them together, as Sotto Voce discovers the intrusion and rushes to his locker. Sarah is discovered to be working with Sotto Voce, who apprehends John and Nolan. They torment John in order to force Nolan to reveal the location of the third egg. To save his new best friend, Nolan has no choice except to expose the location of the third egg. He claims that the third egg is concealed in a hidden room of an Egyptian pyramid. Sarah defies Sotto Voce and flees to Egypt with the second egg. John is able to free himself and pursues Sarah, leaving Nolan behind. However, Nolan discloses to Sarah that he lied to her and that the egg is not in Egypt. Nolan is aided in his escape by John, and the two make their way to the bull ring. They are able to flee Valencia after escaping the bull. Nolan refuses to tell John where the third egg is hidden. So John tells Nolan about his father, who was a con artist who never loved him. Nolan becomes distraught and ultimately tells him where the third egg is, which is in Argentina rather than Egypt. After the Third Reich came apart in 1945, Rudolf Zeick, one of Adolf Hitler's personal art curators, fled to Argentina. He was the last individual to have access to the third egg. Zeick's watch, which he had guarded his entire life, was found by Nolan's father. Nolan took the watch after his father died and discovered an inscription disclosing the location of the third egg in Argentina. To find the third egg, the two travel to Argentina's jungles. They discover a subterranean bunker built by Zeick after days of journey. The bunker is secured by a massive door that can only be opened with Zeick's watch. They make it inside, where a large number of Nazi items are stored. They finally uncover the third egg after some searching. Sarah, who had been following the couple since they escaped Sotto Voce, makes her reappearance. Das, on the other hand, arrives with her squad, who had been following Sarah. Interesting. In an ancient Mercedes, John, Nolan, and Sarah flee the bunker by driving through an abandoned copper mine. In Nazi cars, Das and her team pursue them. They exit the tunnel and fall into a waterfall after some gunfire and slow-mo action moments. They make it to the beach with the egg. Nolan boasts about defeating Sarah and becoming the most wanted art thief in the world. His joy is short-lived, however, as he discovers that John and Sarah are in fact a relationship and professional partners. They're both known as the Bishop. It had always been their goal to play Nolan and gain the third egg location from him. Nolan has no choice but to yield the egg since he is dumbfounded. Nolan is handcuffed to a tree and left by John and Sarah. In time for his daughter's wedding, John and Sarah travel to Cairo and deliver the 3 eggs to the Egyptian billionaire. However, Ed Sheeran arrives unexpectedly and overshadows the gesture, as the bride is now much more eager to meet him. Das, however, interrupts the wedding by arresting the Egyptian billionaire and his daughter, as well as seizing the 3 eggs. On their yacht in Sardinia, John and Sarah celebrate their victory. However, Nolan interrupts their happiness by informing Das that he told Das about their Cayman Islands account, which contains the $300 million payoff from the Egyptian billionaire. She closes the account, leaving John and Sarah in the dark. Nolan gives them a new assignment, a 3-man task. When they don't have any other option, John and Sarah accept to work with him. They meet in the Louvre in Paris to plot their fresh theft. And this is where the movie comes to an end. I hope you enjoyed it, as always until next time.